Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the NevilleGAZSP podcast. I'm your host, Bryguy, 7571. With me, as always, is my good buddy, Anders. Anders, how you doing tonight?
I'm great. I'm excited to be on this. We got a special event today.
Yeah, guys, we have a very special guest today. One of my, I always say they're all my favorites, but one of my very favorite clients, Kaylin. Kaylin was one of those clients who, she wrote to you guys in her success story. We bumped heads at first. Kaylin was very much old Bryguy. And so I think it triggered me a little bit. And also, it was good for me too, because I remembered what I went through and the importance of listening and just going for it. And Kaylin really went for it. And when she did, she got some amazing results. So we'd like to welcome Kaylin. Kaylin, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me tonight.
No, thank you. We're so glad to have you on. So, Kaylin, why don't you kind of explain to everybody what happened? We know the story doesn't matter anymore, so you can tell where you got, and then, kind of where you are when you reached out, and then we'll go and talk about what we did and what we worked on.
Oh, not a problem. All right. So I thought I was special. I thought that my case was unheard of. And which you find out later on that it was no different from anything else. But I came in with a third party in my situation. I was with my boyfriend for 3 years. We are still together, by the way. So just those of you who think it's not possible, listen to this. But I had a 3P. And at first I didn't have one. It just spiraled. And I reached out to Bryguy because I knew about the law, but I wasn't practicing and I wasn't actually utilizing and applying it like you're supposed to. And when things were just getting worse, as in he didn't want to talk to me anymore, and we lived in the same house, it was just like living as roommates.
Right.
So then that's when I started reaching out to Bryguy, like, I need help. I've already tried therapy. I know spiritual law is amazing. I know God works, and I've read Neville too many times. I think I need someone to like literally teach me how to apply this to my best benefit.
Yeah.
That's when I got in contact with you.
And just to point out, guys, what she said, she read Neville a lot. So it was easy for me to work with her because she really understood and came into it believing. But when it came to her situation, she was struggling with the belief that that could be fixed. And I think a lot of you guys are there. You've seen the law work. And for some reason, you guys get in your head and think this situation's too rough. So what we did with Kaylin was, and she fought me on this, but with all of you guys, I try to work on self-concept first and what your stories are, right? Remember, Kaylin, we had that conversation where I was like, what is the goddamn story? Tell me what the story is, why it's your fault, not his. Yeah. And you really were focused on what he was doing, how he was screwing up. And then also we had that, we'll talk about this real quick, that one incident where not only was your story bad about yourself, but you were kind of allowing him to walk all over you a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like take advantage of the situation with the housing and everything. And the balls on this guy was like, I'm going on a trip this weekend with third party. And normally I just have you guys ignore stuff, but we did something kind of specific if you want to share that.
Yeah. So just to preface, you all, please stand up for yourself. You are not weak. Okay. That is just a story that you're telling yourself. And to piggyback off of what he was saying, yeah. Oh my goodness. It was getting super out of hand because I was allowing. When it comes to the 3D, you let it play out, but again, you're not weak. You're not a victim. Stop wavering about, am I good enough? Should I do this? Should I do that? So when I had my third party just pretty much tell my own SP, hey, we're going to go on a weekend together, I lost my marbles. I spiraled. And I had to reach out to Bryguy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do? First things
and
first.
normally I don't have you guys do anything, but I even felt this was so disrespectful to you.
Yeah.
And again, this is when her and I were banging heads, but even then I was like, that is super messed up. And I was like, look, regardless of all the Neville stuff, like take a stand here for yourself. Right. A lot of you guys are not in this situation, but like she really needed to because the guy was living with her. She was paying for everything, you know, and she just didn't deserve that, you know. So tell him.
It's true. I was gonna say, yeah, it's 100% true. Focus on your self-concept first. It's nothing boring. You need it. 9 times out of 10, the only reason why you're not manifesting what you want in the first place is because you believe that thing is bigger than your own self-concept. When you fix that, oh my gosh, manifesting them is so much easier. But I digress from that.
You deserve it, right? Or you have a bad story.
Yeah. It's that
funny enough
that's
is involved in your it's wrapped up in your self-concept, not so much in anything they're even doing, right?
No, yeah, because everything is perspective based. How I'm seeing this, what am I feeling, what am I doing, is based around me. When I feel better about me, everything else changes. And during that time when I had to reach out to Bryguy about like, oh my gosh, SP's going on, you know, this trip with 3P, what do I do? We got some backbone. That's what we did.
Yeah.
We got backbone.
That's why I do it, because I wanted you to see how strong you were to change that belief.
Of course. And
to tell them what you did, because it was pretty brilliant.
Telling you where I was to where I'm at now, those are day and night.
Yeah.
Could not get me to see that person again. And what we had to do was, again, get some backbone, dig deep for it. Bryguy was like, okay, shut up. You did not listen, like I told you to in the first place. You didn't listen. And the very thing I told you not to do is happening. All right, now you want my help. And this was, I'm saying this too because to those of you who do speak kind of raunchy or very aggressive to people, like you have a chip on your shoulder, let it go. You're fighting yourself. Yeah. There's no point in doing that. So having to realize like, okay, let me just stop. This is hurting too bad. And I'm at my ultimate lowest point right now. What do I do? Shut up, Kaylin. Do what I'm about to tell you to do and don't. Am I allowed to curse on you or no?
Yeah. Say whatever you want.
I was going to say verbatim. Out of his mouth was, do what I tell you to do and don't fuck it up.
Don't say anything, right? I was like, and then shut up. First person to talk loses, right?
Yes.
It's kind of like saying, but you did it brilliantly. We said, text him, okay, have a great weekend. Are you picking up your shit before or after your trip? I doubt it'll be here, or something like that. Like we basically told him, like, if you leave, all your shit's going on the street, so I'd probably pick it up before you leave.
Pretty much. He's like, hey, listen, I'm gonna pack you up for you. You don't even have to come back. I'm gonna do this for you. Yeah. That's pretty much what we did.
I got you, bro. Your shit will be ready for you to go. You don't have to worry about packing. It'll all be packed up for you. Take it to her.
Yeah. It's going to be on the dumpster. Like, exactly. Whatever you don't pick up, that's not my cross to bear. And listen, when I tell you in the beginning, but this is where faith comes into place, I was scared. I was nervous. I'm not going to lie to you. I was terrified. The very thing that I did not want to happen, but also standing up for myself. I'm like, what matters most to me? I'll be damned. I feel good. I want to be happy. It's not about him at this point. Now I just want to truly feel happy. And when he told me, Kaylin, just put your foot down. And I would try to complain and like, but what if he does this? Who cares? Do you know how easy it is to manifest people when they're not triggered, like you in your face? That is so easy. It's a whole lot easier to deal with. And I was afraid of that own possibility.
And I did that because I wanted you to see that, you know, you were buying into the story and making it worse, and the girl started showing up more and everything. And I was like, but if you stick up for yourself too, like I said, like, let's just use kind of common sense because you're still in the real world and not in the Neville world. I was like, let his new girl have to put up with his shit now. I bet you she won't. Let her have to pay the bills, take care of everything, take care of this dude. I mean, he had a job and stuff, in all fairness, he was working. But I mean, like, he wasn't like really, there was, all the stuff really fell on you, you know? And he was taking advantage of that. And you couldn't respect yourself when you were letting somebody do that. So I was saying, let's just tell him, like, great, do whatever you want, but you got to come get your shit. Like, I'm not participating anymore in it.
Yeah.
You know,
like
and then that was
give
you the freedom to not keep either what we knew was going to either happen, he would come take his shit and move out, and then you'd have him not in front of you, so you didn't have to keep trying to stare at what you didn't want while creating what you did want, or he would wake the fuck up a little bit too and knock off some of the bullshit, because he'd be like, all right, you would think I'm not playing around anymore, and that was going to push out to him, uh-oh, she's not playing around anymore.
Exactly. And to those of you, again, who are so afraid of letting go of SP, always come back. If you don't know that, make yourself believe it at this point. It doesn't really matter. I was afraid of that, but having to make that decision, again, focusing on self-concept for what? I think we did it for 2 to 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And having to actually apply it, like, you know what? I'll be damned. That's not who I see myself as. In this moment, it's hard, but like you always say in your podcast, and I even see it in your Reddit forums, you tell people, when you ask God for courage, for strength, do you think he just gives it to you? Or does he place you in a situation to where, do you now have courage? Do you now have strength? And that's what it was for me.
Yeah, you prove it to yourself. Yeah, you demonstrate what you have, where you already had.
Yeah, he shows you already had it the whole time, and you were just choosing not to be. And, so that was a big thing for you, because he came back and apologized that day.
He did, and it was a complete 180. It went from talking carelessly and recklessly. And when I put my foot down, like Bryguy said, like, listen, just stop it. Don't even entertain it. This is disrespectful.
And then what yourself. Right after that is on the car, when he was taking that car ride back, I said, get into your self-concept affirmations now. It doesn't take long if you really say them and actually start to believe them. And sure enough, it was like a half hour, and he showed up. He's like, I'm sorry, I messed up. I love you. Like, he started already kind of changing.
Literally changed. And I want to put this out there too, again, just for people who might be making the same mistakes that I was. When you see the change that you want, do not like convince yourself, oh, you're just doing it for this reason, or you don't care. Stop psyching yourself out. You got what you wanted.
And then he went back to cold again.
He did.
And finally, that's when you really got sick of it. Because I remember you called me, you're like, I'm gonna just do whatever you tell me to do. I'm fucking done with this. I'm so sick of hot and cold, this and that. Like, I just want it to be done. And I really get it now. I just want to be happy. I don't give a shit about being right anymore. You're a very intelligent woman. So, you're using logic and reason, and you're very educated. So for people like that, it is kind of tough to just believe, oh, if I change my thoughts about it, it changes. If I change my belief about it, it changes. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
We feel like we have to do something, convince somebody of something,
And you're not doing anything. When I can honestly say, with such a happy heart, logic is really not your best friend when it comes to the unseen, the unknown, which is, again, the spiritual law that Neville teaches us to tap into, the law of assumption. You can think any thought. Who knows how it will come to fruition? But either you're going to forget that you did it, or B, you're probably not going to forget, but you're going to act surprised, like, well, why did this happen? You're the operant power. It's because of you. And having to sit still, and to those of you who want to get coaching with Bryguy, I recommend it. I truly do. He's not going to sugarcoat anything with you. I love this analogy that you give us. You're a junkie. You are addicted to the very thing that is poisoning you, and you don't even realize it. You're fighting for the right to be right about being unhappy. Why does that make sense?
You want to die on that hill, because to you, you're saying, well, if this doesn't work out, then my story about me and my life doesn't make sense. I can't have that happen. Then I'll really be lonely. So you create all bad shit so that your story lines up, so you can be like, see, I told you, I'm smart. I figured it out. You guys are too dumb to realize that God hates me and I'm the one who's fucked. And it's not true.
Exactly. And having a lot I just love laughing about it now. I had a lot of run-ins with Bryguy. I tried being pig-headed.
And I felt like, oh, okay, great. You want to go toe-to-toe? I'll go toe-to-toe with you. You're smart. I felt challenged, which I like. I always like. But again, it made no sense. I think one time I said to you, Kaylin, go look in a fucking mirror. Like, you are, first of all, you're gorgeous. you're very intelligent. You got a wonderful heart. Like, you fight for the things you love. Yet for some reason, you feel that a man would not want that. That makes no fucking sense.
Yes.
With all of
So
these gifts, this wonderful heart, this fighting spirit, everything, and the only person that's not seeing it is you, which is keeping everyone else from seeing it. You know?
yeah, like you don't have to show the world. Uh, Coming from that mindset that, like you said, I earned it. I need to earn this love. I had to fight for it. And then I'm like, wait, I stood up for everything and I want in life that I outside of me.
Yeah,
I
you
couldn't
already.
see it from the inside. Like, you're worthy of these things. You
Mhm.
can tell yourself that intellectually, but on a deeper level, it's like, no, no. Do you realize you are worthy of these things? Don't just sit with it on a surface level. And I
Yeah.
think that goes over people's heads so much.
Yeah, you're very right. They go surface level. It's like we talk about when we would talk about affirmations. I would say, don't just do them until you are calm. Do it
Hmm.
until don't just do it till you get relief. Do it until you get belief, and then keep doing it. So why don't you tell them when we really got serious? Because it didn't take long after that. Um,
Oh, it didn't. It
like
did not.
we're like, okay, I'm really done with the wavering. He came back. He didn't go on that trip, but he's also not committing. I'm fucking sick of this. Why don't you just walk them through your day step by step, like what you were doing throughout the day, so they
Oh,
can.
perfect. So first things first, your mental diet is like a lifestyle. It's not just whenever you want to apply it. It's always in effect. I had to tell myself, starting with self-concept, because I was tired of the hot and cold behavior. Again, everything is coming from within. And what I'm reacting to lets me know where my mind is psychologically.
Hmm.
So I had to stop that. And Neville tells you that just in what is the most basic book, The Power of Awareness. If you just go read that book, there are so many gems in there. So I'm like, okay, let me apply it. How does my brain work? I don't really like to visualize. I'm more of an affirmation queen, so I'll start off with self concept. I would tell myself this almost 3 to 5 times a day, just to make sure I did not forget who I was. Because Neville's always telling you, who do you choose to be? I
Yep.
didn't want to be that person anymore who felt like I was defeated. I couldn't get what I wanted. So I made it a ritual. 3 to 5 times a day, I'm going to say my self concept. I didn't really affirm from my SP. It was nice
No.
here and there, but not really.
Yeah, it's like you're more proof. Like Jack too, there was very little affirmations for the SP. But exactly what you're talking about, going past that surface level, that self concept, that's how you get to the subconscious mind. And what you did was you was very intelligent too. You said, okay, what is my story about me? And then you were like,
Mhm.
what is my story about me in love? Then you didn't
Yeah.
even worry about what your story was about him, because once you fixed your story about you and you when it comes to love and you when it comes to God, that was more that you couldn't. That old story about him fell away anyway. You're like, well, that shit's shit, you know.
It fell away so quickly. And to like anybody who would say, oh, but they're triggering me. No, they're not. You're
Leave him
choosing to
alone
get
too.
triggered. Yeah. That is a key point right there. When I say like people want to have such a victim mentality, I'm just not going to pander to it, because you always have a choice. What do you choose to do? And don't get me wrong, my SP was triggering me too. I remember I would tell Bryguy, I'm like,
Oh, yeah. Like they think they got it rough. You had to see him face to face every day, and,
yes.
and you got really strong.
Yeah, those are
Yeah,
it's a lot of circumstances.
yeah.
It wasn't easy. I'll tell you that during those times, no, it wasn't easy. But what Bryguy says is true also. Anybody who wants to complain about their situation and quote unquote can't see a way out of it, you're always going to think that your situation is the most unheard of and there's no solution to it, when it's not true. It's not true at all. Like, you just
Yeah.
have trained yourself to keep believing that. And what I had to do, aside from affirming my self concept, was, again, I had to deal with him every day still. I still live in the house with him. And there would be comments, there would be conversations that I did not want to have. But instead of reacting the old way, I wouldn't care anymore. And it's not because, oh, I just don't care about SP. It's like, why would I care about this now? I'd rather focus on being happy. I'd rather, I'd rather even see you in the light that I think is good for you and the
Mhm.
way God wants to see you. I want to see you the way God loves you.
And that's
And
love right there. You
that's
gave unconditional love first, and that's why he turned around and gave it back too. Because you're like, regardless of what I'm seeing, I'm gonna only see you in a good way, so that you become that good man. We have this good relationship, and you'll be happy.
yeah.
That's
Like
unconditional.
you
You're like,
have to do
yeah,
that.
and you were so good because I remember the first time or two you didn't react. You texted me, I'm really proud of myself. I didn't react, but then you stopped even telling me I didn't react, and I was like, oh, she's just going for it. Because I remember saying to you, I don't want to mess with you. I'm just gonna let's talk real quick, but
Mhm.
keep what you're doing. And then it was like a day or two later. It was like, yeah, I remember. I think we had a call and we missed it, and I was like, hey, is everything good? And you sent me a picture of what?
Me and Ashley are together. I got engaged.
Uh-huh. The
Oh,
picture was, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. I was too busy getting engaged. And remember, let's tell him, this guy said he wasn't even going to think about marriage for 10 more
Oh
years, right?
yeah, for
Because you
10
had
years.
this
So
story, he was young for marriage, but you were like, but I want to get married now. And you were like, but he doesn't. I was like, you got to stop all of that, all those conversations.
yes.
And he went from, I wouldn't even think about marriage for 10 years to, what I think it was like you told me he introduced you to his mom first, right? And took you guys to dinner. And
Yeah.
you kind of knew it was coming even because he'd never done that stuff before.
So and to those individuals who feel like, oh, I can't have my SP, or what about engagement or marriage? Again, it's all possible. You need to be the one that believes it. No one else. No one else can sell you this dream. And in my situation, it took like Bryguy said, I had to be strict and firm. It went from looking like the darkest day. It was just terrible to when I stopped reacting. I stopped letting my old story trigger me into all these negative thoughts and conversations internally. When I turned away from it, in a blink of an eye, he's doing everything that I want. I'm like, wait, I'm not even affirming for this anymore. It's crazy. You're doing all the things that I did want you to do.
Yeah.
And this, me personally, um, it's not just your self concept, it's the
So
state
what
that you dwell in. Ooh, I love it.
elaborate? What were the things you were like? What your story was? Your self concept stuff that you had to change.
yeah. How did you? What was your starting point? Like, what was your self concept at the beginning before you met Bryguy?
So when I first started, I was in a very, very low state of not understanding and seeing my own worth. My self concept was in the dumpster. Like, hey, I know I'm attractive, but I'm still insecure because I don't think I'm attractive to anybody. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that's where I was. And I've never fully truly like understood why I felt that way. And again, Neville tells you your thoughts are coming from the feelings, and now you're saying and acting all these ways. And I had to just figure that out with the help of Bryguy. I'm like, wait, it sounds stupid to be this way. But that's where I started. And
What were
I
you
believe,
that you were
I'm
saying?
sorry.
Sorry, what were your affirmations that you were saying to yourself to combat that story?
So when we first started, you had me like, you need to focus on learning how to love yourself. Like, oh my God,
Yeah.
no one is going to love you if you cannot recognize that you are loved. Like the entirety of it. There's nothing outside of it. You are loved. So just saying, I am loved. I am appreciated. Things that I did not feel like were true for me. Obviously, that's subjective to everyone. So only you know what those deep fears are. And I
Yeah.
had to tell myself that so much. And within a week or two, like I said, we would meet up twice a week, and it kept getting easier and easier to where I'm like, of course this is me. Why would I ever be anything different?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's naturally transitioning to the next state, which is you're feeling good. And as I was learning and practicing with Bryguy, like I said, I had my own bumps in the road with him because I thought I was right about everything, when in reality I was wrong about a lot. And being able to take what another person who's done this and they did it the hard way, okay, let me hear what they have to say. Go read those books. Go read them over and over again. Make sure you can tell it to me backwards. Tell it to me in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Th- those were the type of things I'm okay, he's pushing me to do better. Don't take it as an insult. Don't take it as, oh, he's being mean. He's pushing you. And I had to apply that. He's pretty much everyone's Abdullah. To those who who need that. I needed that. I had to keep telling him to pretty much slam the door in my face if I wanted to go back to my old victim state of I don't know if this is working or my self-concept isn't manifesting fast enough for him. He kept shutting me down and told me to shut that crap up. You're focused on the wrong things yet again. Go back. And you keep affirming. I did not get to leave my self-concept for about 2 to 3 weeks because I kept missing the mark. Until he felt satisfied, like, okay, no, you're fine. You love yourself. And I'm like, yeah, I don't need to affirm that. Loving myself is number one. I'm a priority. Who else would be?
And we kept
That's
going,
where I had to go.
what is your story? And then you would tell me more of it. Okay, I don't feel attractive. So like, okay, great. Then make yourself believe you're attractive. I don't feel worthy. Okay. So that's why I tell you guys, you can't just take somebody else's affirmations and run with them. The affirmations come from the bad story. So what were some of the other bad stories? Because I remember there were a couple other affirmations. Really
another rampant one that I wasn't aware that was creating was I was immature with love. I thought that I had unrequited love, so that was creating. Every person I met, it would go great, and then it would just fade away as if what happened? It was going good, and now it just dwindled. I had that story, and then that was my biggest one. That one just kept recreating.
I remember that when you say, I get to this place, and then all of a sudden they just disappear. Like it's like this unrequited love. I feel like I give everything, and all of a sudden it's just gone. I don't get anything back in return.
Exactly.
But that was with every man, right?
Yeah, it was. That one was my biggest one, and like you said, with relationship and love. I felt that, and I kept creating that.
Yeah, that was just her own story that made each one of those men do that. It had nothing to do with them. They were completely different guys. That's why things like astrology and all that shit don't matter. None of those guys say any of that shit. They were just completely different guys, but the same shit kept happening. You probably were picking them because you're like, well, I need you to not give it back, so I'm going to look for guys that are emotionally unavailable, probably too.
Boom. That's in a nutshell. And coming to that realization, it's like crap. I wanted to point the finger so bad at somebody else. I'm like, look at what they did to me. Look at what I chose. Look at what I'm creating. There's accountability here. It's me.
Yeah. And that's what we argued about was why it was your fault and not theirs. You know? And me all the time, but you don't understand. And I'd be like, okay, great. Then if you got all the fucking answers, what do you need my help for? You know?
Oh yeah, that one humbled me.
That you want to tell me you got the answer, I'm wrong. What I'm saying is wrong. I'm like, great. Then you know what you're doing. You know?
It was such a humbling experience on so many occasions. Like during it, I was crying. Oh my gosh, my feelings were hurt. I was frustrated at Bryguy. I was frustrated at myself, at my 3D, everything was just making me upset on the inside. But looking back, I wasn't upset with anyone but myself. Like, why does my world look like this? Why am I creating this?
Right.
It made me shift my whole perspective on blaming to, hey, let's kind of like take a step back. Look who is in common with every last one of these aspects in my life.
Yeah.
Oh snap, I'm doing it.
We're the one having the problem with everybody, and they weren't having problems with anybody. It means we're the problem. And I used to tell you, listen, I'm not saying this stuff to be mean. I'm telling you because I was in the same boat doing the same thing. I was just as much of a victim. I was just as much, with the bad stories and the bad self-concept and getting mad, telling people, you don't understand. I am doing the work. But you realize later that wasn't the work because you were and continuing to keep the bad story alive. And it had so much power by that point because you were like, it's 20 something years at that point,
Yeah.
And you persisted and you were disciplined. And then that's when things changed overnight.
It did, especially the turning point was, it gave me motivation when I saw that, oh my gosh, SP is changing. Like, again, I'm not affirming for them. I'm just focusing on my self-concept. They're already showing up differently. Okay. And then when I would fall off my self-concept or would start going back to negative stories, would go back to his same pattern. And I would notice, I'm like, oh, it's me, I'm controlling this. So I was aware and seeing how quickly when my mood shifts, so does theirs.
Mm.
Okay, everyone as you pushed out, having to learn how all these puzzle pieces fit together, because every last one of them, they make sense how everything ties in together. I'm like, okay, everyone as you pushed out, that's me. Uh-oh, thought transmission, that's, oh my gosh, all these things make sense. Let
Mm.
me stop with the hot and cold behavior. I remember I cried my last bit of tears. I said, I'm frustrated, I've had enough. And you told me, then fucking stop. If you've had enough, then just stop it. I don't
Mhm.
care what you see anymore. Just stop it. And that was enough to light a fire under me. Within, just from that moment, I think it took a week, and then we didn't speak after that. And just for those wondering what happened in that course of a week, I put my head down. I did the work. The work is working on yourself, working on your beliefs, changing the already, like, just the apparent programming that's in you. It's solidified. Now you got to take it out. Now you got to rewire some stuff. And that may not be the easiest for one person to the next. My story is my story. People can do it in less than my time frame. I think my whole manifestation took 2 months.
Yeah.
There are people, it took 2 months, but it only took as long as it took me because that's how long it took me to believe.
Yeah. First month was just you and me arguing, you saying, prove it works. And I'm like, I'm trying to, but you won't listen. And it was like we were going back and forth. And I was like, Kaylin, you're going to waste all your sessions on
Hmm.
wanting me to give you this guarantee that only you can give yourself.
I
Mm.
wasted two. I wasted 2 sessions with Brian because I was very much just like, you're not what I signed up for. I didn't sign up for accountability or making me rewire. I signed up for you to give me the perfect spell. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh snap, that's not what this is. There's no such thing as a perfect love spell. To those of you
Nope.
wondering, that does
Yeah.
not exist at all.
Yeah.
Yep. That's manipulation.
Yeah. Manipulation isn't unconditional love.
It's
One,
exactly.
and not reacting. And you made a really good point, which again, guys, please listen to what she's saying because she really understands this. She made it a really big point to, even when he did the cold behavior, to act as if she would act no matter, like she just acted like a person who was
Mhm.
unconditionally loving. So he would do something, and instead of reacting and causing a fight and chaos, she would just give him grace and let it slide and ignore it and just keep believing in him as a good person. And that's what you do when you love somebody. Like I say to
Yeah.
guys, where is this belief? You tell me how great this love is, yet you have no belief in it. No belief that it'll save you, that it'll make them turn around, that they'll realize it. You have no faith in them.
Mm.
And you did. And
Literally.
he turned, once you had your faith in you, and then you had the faith in him, and you were just like, I'll just kill you with kindness. He had no choice but to show up loving.
Exactly. And to those of you who are very analytical, what that looks like, please don't do this though, but what that looks like is, I'm going to change. Somebody is used to your pattern. They're
Yep.
used to you yelling and fighting, or they're used to you doing something so it doesn't have the same effect. When you start acting differently because you are being different, the other person has no choice but to question, what's going on? This is not the usual dance that we do.
Yeah.
You're doing something different.
You did a 180.
And exactly. And the more I kept doing it, I kept showing up as, no, this is the version of me who has what they want. They're living their life. They
Yeah.
don't act this
That's
way.
the thing to stress. You weren't doing a 180 on purpose. What was happening was, because you worked on yourself, you just
Hmm.
act like a person who was emotionally stable, intelligent, all that stuff
Yeah.
would. And that was the opposite of what you would normally do, which is react and fight and argue with them. And it like
Hmm.
knocked him off his feet. But also then he was like, well, wait a minute, like it can be this good with her too. And he started,
Exactly.
because you were like, why couldn't it be good with me? I'm amazing. So he started, oh, it must be, she's amazing. He started to see it too, you know?
Exactly. It just boom. When you apply it, just like that, when you just apply the work, please don't go and looking for results. You're gonna make yourself crazy. That's like going outside the window and say, did the mountain move yet?
Yes.
No, just don't do that. You keep focusing on you. I promise you, it always happens when you don't expect it.
Yeah, because
Ah.
When
you're
you don't expect it.
like, science even says matter cannot change while being watched. You
Exactly.
take your eye off of it for it to go back into its wave-like form and then scramble and go over somewhere else and change into something else. And that's
Literally.
you took your eyes off of Goliath, you took your eyes off of the matter, and you
Mhm.
put your eyes on God. And the great thing about doing that is God is so captivating and his love feels so good, you kind of get lost in that, right? Like I always think of the scene with Peter and the Chosen when he walks on water, he falls through, Jesus brings him back in the boat. He just hugs Jesus as hard as he can, and Jesus does the same. And he keeps saying to Jesus, "Don't ever let me go." And he's like, "I won't. I'll never let you go." And he's like, "Please, Lord, never let me go." And when you go to God and you say that and have that moment with him, he's making you feel very loved, and you're forgetting about that too. And that allows God to also be over there working on that and letting him give you love, which takes away all the neediness and all the want. And then it just
Yes.
everything line up perfectly for you, and you were very, very good with that. Once you really
And that was
listened,
good.
you had the discipline in you. Once you listened, I knew you weren't going to break. And you were like me, you're very analytical, probably even more so than me. And I would be like, you
Mhm.
got to let go of the fucking logic. I get it, but it tells you in the Bible mysterious ways.
Literally, literally, to those who have been in a roundabout situation for, I would say honestly, before I got a hold of you, I was dealing with this for like maybe a year, and it
Yeah.
was frustrating me. I kept getting hot and cold behavior, and when I stopped, I'm just like, again, you have to make that choice of when is enough enough. No one else can tell you that. You got to come to terms with it. And throughout my coaching, I thought, okay, I already hit my enough enough break. Like that's why I'm talking to you. No,
Yeah. And I was
actually doing that work.
drag you to rehab. I'm not taking someone to rehab that doesn't want to go because they won't stay. And you're like, I'll quit. And I was like, you can't quit. I quit you.
Pretty much.
Like, quit.
it,
You're fired. And I was like,
it was
ready.
it was so funny when you think about that conversation. And again, it was just about my own willpower. I appreciate how merciful you were. You showed me a lot of grace during that time, and I really appreciate you for that.
I don't know. I
I
fight and you believing in me and God and all of that too. I was so proud of you.
man, it was. I really love it. When I tell you that, please, anybody who can hear my own testimony, if you have second thoughts, please, like, if you don't want to work for Bryguy, but I recommend that you do, look at his posts. He's helping you for free, and he's doing it for people who, like, if you want one-on-one. He knows what he's talking about. He does. He gives you that tough love, but it's not out of mistreatment. He loves you. He wants everyone to be
No,
happy.
it's like I want you, like I used to say to you, I need you to see yourself the way I see you, which is through God's
Mhm.
eye. Perfect. Right. And when
That
you
that
tell
was
me
so
you're
hard.
that's pissing me off because I'm like, there's no trash there. Right. God's like, you're
That was
not.
amazing.
Yeah, I made you. You are value. You're priceless. So don't tell me that you're not, because I'm not going to listen to it. And it's done out of love. It's not done because I'm trying to be a jerk or I'm judgmental.
Mhm.
Like, you're not seeing what I see. You're not.
100%.
Yeah. When someone sees you from a loving way and you try to tell them, it's like trying to tell a parent their kid is junk. You'd be like, the hell they are. I don't make, you know?
I would say this, and I would hear you talk about, the love for your wife and your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Just like how you said, God sees me this way, so why can't I see other people the same way that God sees me? Again, you're using that unconditional love that was set upon you. I took that and I ran with it. I truly did. I'm like, fine. I may not like the ways of how this person is acting. That doesn't mean I have to condone it. But because I love you and I do care about you, I can remove myself or I can act accordingly. Just like how a parent loves their child. You don't, crush your child when they do something bad or when they act up. You don't act that way towards them.
Yeah.
You correct them gently. And if you repeat it yourself on numerous occasions, 9 times out of 10, most of you are gonna ignore the bad behavior. And the child is gonna like, hey, I know you told me you didn't like that, but this time you're actually showing me that you didn't like it. You're not giving me attention anymore. It's like, yeah, are you going to stop? Yeah, I'm sorry. Same thing with my SP. I ignored what I didn't want to bring attention to. I let it go. I kept myself happy. He was doing anything that he wanted to do. That's fine. I wasn't looking for trouble. And I love that Bryguy told me this too. Go do something. Go hang out. Get outside the house. Stop worrying about him. What is
Yeah,
there
you
to
got a
worry
life.
about?
You went and got a life, which is what you would do if they were back anyway.
Exactly.
But the other great thing you just pointed out was you ignored the bad behavior, and because you gave it no more life, no more story, it disappeared.
It does.
And guys, you
It went
haven't really
away.
talked about is how she got rid of the third party, but that's how she got rid of the third party, right? Because we, after that day, we never brought up a third party again.
What's the point of bringing up something that doesn't exist in your life?
And then
It's not
because of that,
important.
he came to you and told you later, I'm done with her.
I didn't even have to ask.
Yeah, you never
Didn't even have to
about
ask.
it, never worried about her. You just kept your focus on you. And because you ignored her, it gave that manifestation no life. So that girl had no choice but to disappear.
To any of you who are affirming that 3P goes away, please stop. That's just kind of aiding more
Yeah.
awareness and attention. Don't. Just focus on what you want, and that's you and SP together. It's the law. It has to come to fruition. So if me and SP are together, whatever needs to happen.
Patients too were like, he wants to marry me. We are married. Yeah, you went right.
Go straight. Go to what you want. Go to the end of what you want.
Yeah,
That's
a lot
it.
more you saying, I am worthy of love. I am worthy of marriage. I am worthy of the things I desire. God always gives me what I pray for. It was things like that. And it was focused on you, and you never had to work on him really.
Yeah.
Not at all. Yeah.
And you guys being together, that implies that the other person has gone away because you're believing for you guys to really be together. So you don't even know about the other person.
Yeah.
When I'm trying to figure out like how to phrase that, because it was such a not want to say like a tumultuous time, but when I was met with, again, when 3P first came around, I was distraught. And then when you really just sit still, I was already manifesting other things too. So I had faith. Oh, I know the law works. This is no different. I'm just, afraid of putting my trust in God, that if God can do everything else, why can't he do this for me? And I had to figure that out for myself. And when I let go, now it tells you, have that leap of faith. Just do it. Everything happened so quickly. I could not tell you how it was going to happen. It always came out of nowhere. Like, wow, this is the moment. Oh, wow, you're going to do it this way. You couldn't have prepared me. And the very thing that was just so amazing, and it felt far away 2 months ago. Well, not now, but when we were at coaching, I had picture. I'm like, I'm engaged, and it felt like there was no way in hell. It felt like, oh, I'm about to be broken up with anything. I'm about to be single. I got engaged just like I wanted.
Yeah.
All the problems went away when I stopped focusing on them. When I matured.
And again, guys, sorry, go ahead, finish, and then I'll reiterate.
Oh, no, go ahead.
What I was going to say is the crazy thing is you guys get so focused on circumstances. This man flat out told her, I won't even consider marriage until at least 10 years from now. I don't want to be married anytime soon. I don't even know if I want any of that. Like, was like the opposite. The more she was like, I got to be married, the more he was like, But then when she told herself, I am married, I am loved, and it was like, and that's a fact, he was like, yes, you are. And I want to be that guy. I want to be that husband. I want to be there for you all the time. Right?
Yes, again, you don't have to control there's no one to control.
Yeah.
You're not controlling anyone.
No,
You're controlling you.
Listen to me. No. Listen to me, right? You were just like, no, this is my story. I'm sticking to it. Anything tries to tell me the opposite, fuck off. Right?
Literally.
You your ears, and you were like, la, 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 I don't hear any assholes right now. Right?
Man,
it was, get out of here. No, you punched it in the dick like we talked about. Like, and guys, you're going to get attacked. She'll tell you, right? You wake up some mornings, you're like, oh, it's cloudy and rainy, I'm set. And you're like, no, fuck that. I'm going to choose to be happy today. I'm going to choose to live like I would if they were here.
I'm giving you all like the. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead. But I was saying you weren't missing him.
No, even though
from being distant, you weren't like, oh, I missed that guy. You were just like, nope, he is that guy. You only saw him that way, even in the face of the opposite of him.
Yes. When you, oh my goodness, I see just some of your posts, and I just want to tell you all, stop caring what the 3D showed you. Stop caring what SP tells you. I understand. I've been told some things that hurts. I've had to tell Bryguy, I'm like, oh my God, they said they'll never marry me. They said, hell, I'm not even wife material. They don't even know why they're even talking to me. That hurt me.
Yeah.
Yep.
That hurt. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what do I do? And Bryguy's like, well, what does common sense tell you? One, stop reaching out or trying to talk to them about this subject if you know you're going to keep getting that result.
Yeah.
Do something different. Don't bring up what the relationship is anymore. I had adversity. I did. I had moments where we were good, and then I had moments where he would bring up nonchalantly, I don't know if I'm going to make it with you. And I had to be able to bear it, not because, oh, it's going to get me to my manifestation. No, you know what? I don't believe that's true. I actually do believe I'm wife material, but I don't have to speak up loudly about it.
Yeah.
Just how you ignore children who make mistakes or they do the wrong thing. I just ignored it. I'm like, that's not true. Who cares? I ignored it. Went on about my day.
All the time. When something happens, I'll be like, well, wait a minute. It's not really, you didn't do something bad here. You didn't really make a mistake, because you've already come to me saying, I realized I did this and it didn't work out, and I promise I won't do it again. Well, now it's a lesson, and lessons are things, right? We make mistakes sometimes to learn lessons, so that when bigger problems come along too, we have it. So again, it's not a bad thing. You know, what's bad is if you don't learn the lesson and you keep doing the same thing. That's the definition of insanity.
Yes.
Yeah. That's when you're being crazy.
Yeah, again, everything is great.
Her situation was interface daily, telling her, I don't want to marry you. You're not a wife material. No. I'm going to go out with this other, everything. And you were like, all right, fuck it. I'm not reacting anymore. I'm just going to ignore it. And like you said, keep your head down and be like, I'm just going to plow through until I believe it. And you would say it till you believed it. And then you would even notice before that he was changing. And you did wavering again and going, but why won't it all just happen? You're just like, nope, it's working. I'm going to stick with it. I'm just going to keep going. It'll be done. So many of you guys get a little result and then you jump on it before it's done. You didn't be like, so what are we now? What are we now? You waited, and then one day he came to you and goes, I know what you are. You're my fiance. I want you to be my wife. You never had to have the with him ever again.
To this day, I don't. There's no point.
If you want to have to beg him, then you're not going to get it, right? You know,
right?
You were just like, I'm good. I know I'm wife material. I know I'm deserving. And then as soon as you saw it, like I saw it, because I remember telling you too, I was like, you're getting it now, because the way you talk about yourself now is the way that I see you, you know? And yeah, it was like, I remember I was like, where's the call? We're supposed to talk today. And then, oh, sorry, this happened. We've kind of been caught up in this. And I was like, no, that's great. That's great. Right.
It was just so, like I said, it was like unexpected when you have a realization that, oh my gosh, dreams were meant to come true. It's not just a fairy tale, or miracles are those pretty much that people don't believe that it's possible.
Yeah, that's all it is.
That's all it is. It's like, no, it was always possible, but I finally made myself get to the point where, of course, it had no choice but to come in fruition. Do you not see me? The word that comes to mind is secure. Are you secure? And whatever it is that you want to manifest. I was not in the beginning. I was not secure.
I am secure.
Yeah, I didn't even have to say that. I said I am. I said I am who I am. Like, that made me feel good. I am who I am. And the calming statements that you recommend for people, like for me, it was, God, somehow, some way, you always look out for me. You always come through for me. that held me in those times where it looked like it was bad. It wasn't lollipops and rainbows the whole entire 2 months. I had some issues. Being able to get over those mountains that now look like anthills to me, it's like, oh, it really was never that big of a deal. I made it more than what it was because I thought it was impossible. Look at that. The impossible to the physical word, the physical world, yeah. But when I called upon the perfect law that Neville's always telling us about, it was done. And I couldn't have made it happen any sooner or better.
Yeah. So just so we can show them self-concept, can you just tell us the list of your affirmations? Because when you do, you'll also be able to say, and the reason I said this is because I believe this. So like, I want them to see how the affirmations came from you based on your stories. So tell the affirmation first and then be like, the reason I said this is because this was the story. And this was
not a problem.
People are obsessed with what you said. And I want to show them that the people who are getting it, they're not worried about like using someone else's affirmation. It was you looking at your story, and that's where the affirmation came from.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Work for you and might not work for somebody else,
And I agree with that. Please don't use mine. Please look at your own story. But what I did use was the very first one was I am loved. I struggled with feeling that I was able to be loved. I could love anybody, but could anybody love me?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have that belief within myself at that time. So I am loved. I am more than enough. I am good enough. I had the story of where I had to earn love. You don't get love by just being a good person, is what I would tell myself. You got to keep showing up. You got to keep doing certain things so people can love you. Again, rewiring that old belief, that's not true. I am more than enough. I'm okay. I don't have to go over and beyond to be loved. Another one was like my unrequited love. I told myself all my exes come back just to give myself that added because I kept getting broken up with. I'm like, dang, why? Why does everyone keep breaking up with me? And just to test and see, can I do this for myself? All my exes come back. And they did. They all reached out and said, hey, I was just thinking about you.
Yeah, I remember you telling me your birds before land. I was like, you got the birds before land. Don't doubt it. Keep going. Yeah.
Yes.
You're like, it's crazy. This dude called me. Yeah.
And just out of this world, I'm like, okay, you know what? I did that. And then as I got deeper and deeper with my story, now that I'm figuring out my self concept affirmations, then I could start to see, hey, what are my beliefs about love? What do I believe about my relationship between me and my what do I believe now? Once I started getting me together, what do I believe about love? No one's gonna love me the way that I love them. Ooh, change that belief. I just flipped it.
But it was
show me enough to love.
Because you now believed you were worthy of love, and you realized that bad story only came from the bad story you had about you also, right?
Exactly.
That love spring from the bad stories about ourselves. So that's why I have you guys attack the old you and kill them, right? Like we used to talk about that. Kaylin, take that woman out to the fucking junkyard and put a hole in her, like choke her out, throw her in the dumpster, get rid of her.
Man, you need to do it. What was another one that I believe about love? Just in regards to relationships, I'm never heard. I'm not heard. No one hears my voice when I speak up. So I'm like, no, people care. Just you would think these are just small thoughts that go by, but for me, these thoughts were so heavy that I believe them.
Yeah.
No, those are
because you had a lot of practice.
They're frustrating.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
and once you stop practicing that and subscribing to that, and you broke, like Anders talks about all the time, break agreement with it, bind it, and throw it away.
Yep.
And once you did that, like everybody else started saying, oh, we got to listen. She's valuable. She's worthy. She's a priority,
Yes, how I felt about me was now being pushed out. I wasn't looking for validation. I felt it. I was being that person. And then the last thing that I was struggling with was tackling my beliefs about SP and I. It's not about what I believe about him. It's more so about what did I believe about myself in regards to him. And I kept telling myself, I'm like, oh, when it comes to him, well, he's not very affectionate. Why do you need him to be affectionate? Oh, again, that goes back to I'm not loved. And I saw, like, that was just one of the biggest things that made me change a lot, was when I started seeing him for him, how God would see him. He showed up. He wasn't showing me the love that I wanted, the way that I understood. He showed me love from his perspective. And I'm like, oh, it's just as beautiful. It's just not the way that I do it. So I got to see him differently when I made that affirmation. I told myself, like, oh, I'm sorry.
That's beautiful that you accepted the way he was expressing it. You saw what was behind it, you know?
Yeah. Again, you taking that deeper look into me, that's really where everything is. It's not that, oh, I need to change them. I had to change the way I saw and perceived them. It still came back to me. Just that's where all the root of my affirmations came from. They were all about me pretty much, and how I viewed my SP, how I viewed my relationship and love.
Yeah.
All
and that's
about me.
You in that order. You get you, and then you go to work on what's my story about love, and then you go, well, that's ridiculous. Now, how could I have ever believed that? Because now you have a new story about you. So those stories won't make sense in your world anymore, and you get rid of them. And then that's when you start telling the good stories, just like we tell the bad stories, because we need a world to make sense. When we tell a good story about ourselves, the bad stories now won't make any sense in our life about us and about love, right? And then from there, you start applying it to that person and going, okay, well, that was silly too. And then again, you really grew emotionally. You became so emotionally mature. And it's funny because you even said one of your stories about yourself was you were a little emotionally immature. And I remember saying to you, look, you've convinced me now you're emotionally immature, or you're emotionally mature. And I was like the biggest critic of that, probably next to you. So you know you're there. Like I literally see you as a very emotionally intelligent woman. You know?
Yeah.
The way
Having
you talked to me was like no longer that rush thing and that like trying to like, it was almost like you said, I want to be heard, and you were afraid I wasn't going to listen. I was like, I'll let you talk. You know what you're talking. Like, I was just very like, you're good, you know? And you no longer needed that stuff. Like, you know, and again, you started to see yourself the way I did. You were looking in the mirror going like, look, you're fucking crazy if you're passing on me just based on the way I look. But look at all the getting on top of that, dude. Like, and then on top of that, you allowed him to love you the way he wanted to, and you told him that was enough. And he was like, well, then you can do that too. And now you have unconditional love.
Literally, it just comes from within. And I see so many people who do want love, and it's like, you can have it. You can have it. How do I get it? By giving it to yourself. That's literally it. Give it to yourself. I don't care if it takes you a week, 2 weeks, a year. Just give it to yourself, and you'll see how much easier life is with you manifesting, creating your world. It all comes from within.
And I think while you were doing that too, you were manifesting other things that you thought were hard, and then they suddenly got easy too, right?
That were fun. Yeah, I just for giggles. My grandmother has like a very old country name, and I'm like, I've never seen it on anything, just to practice and say, let me get reacquainted with consciousness, right? I told myself and Bryguy, I'm like, fine, I'm gonna do the list like you told me to, just to see how this is gonna work again. I'm like, all right. I think a couple days go by. My grandma's like, hey, I want you to catch a flight. Lo and behold, again, my grandma doesn't have a very common name. I don't know anyone who has it. And I see her name on the back of her car. I'm like, oh my gosh, has that always been there? She's like, no, I just got it done. I'm like, when did you do that? She's like, I think about yesterday, or, you know, a couple of days ago. It was just on my mind. And I'm like, that's around the time that I wanted to test the amazing. I manifested so much money. Money is so easy.
Because I was like, manifest what you paid me back. I always want you guys to do that. And I show you guys, not only can you make that back anyway, that's why I tell you guys when you approach me, who cares how much it is? Are you stable? Because if you are, then it won't matter. And if you're a believer, then you'll know you can just manifest it back anyway. So
I got it within a week. Within a week, I got it.
Yeah, if you can't do that, you're not ready for coaching anyway. And the ones who are honest with me, they see, oh wow, well that was really easy to get back. Yeah. You did it in a week, you said, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you just start going, well, if I can do that in a week, I can just keep doing this every week too. And then before you know it,
pretty much.
Yeah, you've not only manifested back bills you pay for, like if you pay your rent, you're like, I don't want to pay that. Okay, well, let me manifest it back. And then you realize it doesn't matter what you pay anymore because you can manifest it back. And then it gets fun. We talked about how, like, that one Christmas, we were like, we get double what we spend back. And we went crazy with the spending. But instantly, like, I remember one of the things I bought was like a $3,000 pair of shoes. And it was like, I got $6,000 back. And I was like, not only did I get my money back for the shoes, but I can go buy another pair if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, just like whatever story you tell starts to show up in your world. And then before you know it, it becomes your truth. So it's weird, but like you said, you'll be like, oh, of course it showed back up. It always does. Like it becomes like money always shows up. It's so easy. It's literally everywhere.
Literally. And I love that you even like try to stress that. Please focus on your self-concept, because your self-concept is literally creating everything. How much money you think you can manifest in your life, that's your self-concept. Everything is based off of you.
Yeah. That's why when people say stuff about money and this, I'm like, look, if you don't believe you deserve that, no one's going to believe it and pay you that. So you got to believe you deserve that, you know? And my belief is, if I really charge people what I thought I deserved, I like, but again, I know there are people out there that can afford that too. That's why I have clients that are millionaires. That's why there's like groups I'm working with now that I coach for corporate stuff, like everything. And it just shows up and it's kind of nuts. Like one of the things I wanted to do was make a larger sum of money and do less work, or like one person pay me, more than just 1 month. It just showed up. I didn't even worry about it. I was just like, I want to make more money and have less to do. And then I got a hedge fund gig. I got all this other stuff. And it was like, wow, it just shows up however you tell it to. And if you don't worry and caught up in the how's it going to happen, it's great. Because like you said, you sit back and you enjoy it. And God's like, watch this. Look at how cool this is. Look at how cool this can be. You're right. Why are you wasting time with this? You can make this much more, that much more. And it's all about brave and saying, I'm worthy of it. And believe, like,
I agree.
Yeah. I used to tell my wife with the photography stuff, if you don't believe you're worth it, they won't. But if you do, and you're confident when you give them that price, they're going to be like, okay. They know it's kind of an expensive thing for personalized photography. They're going into it knowing that. So be the same way. Be like, I'm really fucking good. You contacted the best. Look at all the blogs I'm in. Look at all the this I'm in. Look at all the, the write-ups on me, the review, everything. And it was like, you got to trust in yourself. Like, and I would say to her, have you ever had a client complain? No. What do they always say? It's better than I thought. Even when I come home thinking I did okay, they love it. I'm like, okay. So that means even when you think it's off, it's spectacular to everybody, you're worth the money.
I agree. Cause like, I'll even give you like another award for that. You wrote a form about like your wife manifesting how, like, I think she was no longer working for a company. Like she wanted to be her own boss. Yeah. I was inspired by that. And the fact that like,
that's $15,000 in a month, and she was just like, oh, well, he'll do it for me. And that was enough belief. The fact that somebody else knew how to do it for them would be more than enough,
See,
she knew it was going to happen. She didn't worry about who was going to get it for, to the point where she literally, you want to talk about not lift a finger, like didn't even affirm for it once, And
see, I love that story that you told, because it inspired me. I'm like, well, dang, heck, she has a family. Let me see if I can do it. I don't have to support anybody, so there's not like all these other potential thoughts.
Yeah.
I did it within a month. I'm now my own boss. I don't work for anyone but myself. Like, you can really do it.
Yeah. I have a really good friend.
You can really do it.
Yeah, a really good friend is a very successful guy. Also, I think in the self-help stuff, just a really good guy. And we became good friends, and we would just intend for each other. And I would realize sometimes, like early on with certain things, I would get a little worrisome. He'd be like, oh, I'll do it for you. And it would show up right away. But then he was like, well, you got to also, like, if I can do it, you can do it. So you have to start trusting that you can do it too. But know that if you ever can't, I can always come in and fix it for you. But try in yourself first so that you don't need me. to do that. And then I used to do the same thing for him because there were things that he was worried about that I was like, oh, that'd be really easy to manifest. And then it worked for him too. And he was like, yeah, it's really us now going and believing in ourselves, you know, and it does make it easier when you know somebody else can do it. But it's like I say with money, I'm like, go get a job today, because then you're like, well, I can eat. You have one less thing to worry about. And you start hope. And yeah, so like when your SP came back, I remember it being like he was the cherry on top of this beautiful new delicious sundae that was you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You were the most delicious ice cream. You had all the accoutrements. You were just like mouth watering. And he was like, I was like, he's not going to be able to resist that, you know?
And he wasn't. And
Yeah.
to even validate that, to those of you who want to hear it so bad, again, stop worrying about it. It's going to happen. I was living my life. I was hanging out with friends. I wasn't asking unnecessary questions.
Yep.
He would
See,
come
that's the
up
big
to
one.
me
You
and
guys
be like,
ask these questions to get some kind of proof. When you do that, you're killing your manifestation. Ask how to speed up your manifestation. Kills your manifestation because you believe it's not here. You're focused on not being here and it needing to be here now and lack. You can't do that. You can't be saying, I believe, but, and then giving a whole list of reasons why what you just said isn't your real belief. You can't contradict it. You can't be missing them and believing you have them. You can't be out dating other people and believing you're in a relationship with them. Right?
I
You
was
gotta
absolutely fine. Yep.
get that place in your head where you are when you're with him. And you would agree, right? When he came back, you were already like he was already back. You were living with him.
Yeah.
And the relationship is great. There's no problems at all. And then he just showed up and was like, you're right. It's so good, in fact, that I got to put a ring on it. I'm not taking a chance.
Yes, it's literally taking that fact of, I felt in the beginning of coaching and whatnot, I felt like, oh, okay, I'm half whole. By the end of it, I was already whole and I didn't have the full manifestation. I'm like, I'm okay. Oh, and you would check in all the time, like, hey, you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And you would test me a little bit, but what if this happens? I'm okay. You sure? There's no budging. I'm okay. And
Yep.
I remember to this day, it was like the best test. What if he gets up and he leaves his house? I'm gonna be okay. I can still manifest him. It's not that big of a deal. And from that moment, you're like, okay,
I believe.
good. Keep going.
Yeah, I'm believing what you're saying. I'm buying what you're selling. You know, it was because really, I can't stress enough. Like she said, she put her head down and she didn't go looking for results, and she just kept doing the work, which is telling God, I believe. Right? It's like
Literally.
God enters his tent. He tells him, I can't beat you. I can't make you do anything, but I'm also not going to let your ass go, you know, until you bless me. Right? And you're telling God, I deserve a blessing. I'll do what I can, but like, I believe in you. I'm going to hold you to the blessing, you know, and you're believing.
It is that. So to those who were not familiar with the book of Job, I like his story and I like Joseph's story the most.
Yeah.
Because it builds character. I would always go back to those two stories in the Bible when I was coaching with you. When it came to Job, I saw myself like, okay, why is he taking things from me? What's wrong? I was about to blame and be upset. And I'm like, wait, hold on. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's moving around because I cannot see this. All I can see is the aftermath. Okay, if I know God's promise is true, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to keep looking to him. I have faith that everything is going to be all right. And it was. I got what I wanted tenfold. I was living an uncommitted relationship lifestyle for a while to where I have full commitment and I'm getting married. I got what I wanted and more.
Yep.
And
he was the cherry on top. We made the most delicious sundae, and he was like, I got to jump on top of that, man. I want to look pretty with that sundae. I like compliment it, you know?
Just finish it off. And then when it came to Joseph, me personally, I resonated with that one because earlier I wasn't the most emotionally mature person. I would get upset, and if you're familiar with him, he got sold off into slavery by his brothers. And at first he had resentment in his heart. He's like, how dare they treat me this way? They forgot about me. This whole famine, right? But for me, my famine was, again, I didn't feel love. I was in a drought of love. There's just none of it. And I was very, very hurt to now I was resentful of, why would I dare show you love when you didn't, all the things that you did to me? Why would I ever show you any type of love or any type of compassion?
Right.
I had to go through that character development of, okay, seeing how different relationships played out, learning, growing, having someone mentor me into making better decisions and thinking critically. I'm like, okay, dang, let me just relax. Let me start building my faith in God. And he naturally came to me. I could have, like Joseph, be like, go away, Benjamin. Not Benjamin. Go away, family. Keep Benjamin here. I'm gonna hold on to the very thing that you love, and I'm not gonna give it back. I'm gonna be scornful and resentful. He didn't take that approach. He saw everything that God was doing for him. He brought his family back to him. So he's like, oh, let me take out the hardness of heart. I'm gonna open up. And that's how I felt. Like, okay, I'm gonna let this go. I'm releasing all of this. The very thing that I'm upset about, I want love. I'm not gonna hold it secret.
What story that was in the Bible too? We'll reference it also in the comments.
Story of Joseph.
Story of Joseph. Sorry, I thought she said
his brother.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's great too. I definitely recommend you guys all read it and read the. It's easy to find the exact section, but read the part where his brothers come back and how he reconciles with them and what he says to them, and because then they also figure out like, oh wow, this is our brother Joseph, who we sold slavery, but it's like a prefiguring of Jesus, the way that he gives love and forgiveness to his family, even though, but it wasn't necessarily, wasn't the obvious move on his part. Yeah.
Exactly. Again, all these terrible events that happened in his life, he felt justified at first, because he wasn't doing anything. And that's how I felt in the beginning. Like, I am a good person, but look at my circumstances. I finally let them go. The very thing that I wanted. And it's funny, my own SP, I'm like, I see you like family. I love you like you're my own family. Why would he not? I'm supposed to be his wife. Of course.
That's what I don't get about divorce now, is because it's like, we look at our family growing up as like our family. Like, no matter what our parents did, we would always give them another chance. Our brothers, our sisters, everything. But when it comes to our boyfriends and girlfriends who we've loved for a long time, we don't give that kind of love. We just look at them as disposable, instead of loving.
You can't do that.
Our mom and dad and our siblings. Like,
yeah.
Well, when you get married, now you're the mom and dad, and you want your kids to love you that way. You got to love each other the way, because that's what my mom and dad did. They were forgiving each other for stuff, and really going, no, families forgive, families forget. Neville tells you got to not only forgive, but you have to forget, because if you don't forget, you're going to keep bringing it up and punishing each other.
So, yes.
That both you and Jack and myself have all said the same thing. Neville's books are great, and definitely read them, because they explain how to do this in a simpler way. But the Bible is really important, because it is just story after story. It's success story after success story, right? Is the place you want unlimited success stories, go to the Bible.
Go to the Bible.
And then look too, right? So Brian said, yeah, that's how you should treat family. But what's like almost like the second story we get, right? Well, it's Cain and Abel, right? And
exactly,
read that carefully.
Yeah.
And God even explains to Cain, like he's actually like, he's very gracious with him. He's like, hey, look, like, just do things the right way and you're good. Like, you're not being punished. Just, go do the sacrifices the right way. Don't give me these vegetables, like give me meat, like keep it real. And so what does Cain do? Well, because he feels some kind of way about how his relationship with God, instead of, he goes and takes it out on his brother and kills his brother. And, God told him ahead of time, like, hey, you're not in the right frame of mind. Like, your face is off, or whatever it is he says. So like, read that carefully. And then by contrast, we have Joseph, right, where he goes through all kinds of crazy things. He ends up getting thrown in prison and spending all his time in prison, and he's wrongfully accused, and he's just like several different ways he's a victim, right? And yet he comes through and he's elevated to a position under Pharaoh, and being in a position to help his family. And he does do those things, instead of staying in that thing of like, oh, I'm going to get back my family, or I'm going to get back the people who wrongfully accused me or whatever. His heart changes to get past that and go into being who God wanted him to be, which was the person who's going to be second in charge in Egypt and basically running what it sounds like, because the Pharaoh's not really, Joseph's the real power. To God's using Joseph to really run things in Egypt. So that's gonna be really encouraging to everybody. So I encourage you guys to like read that whole story and to kind of look for those clues.
And also, just because I did have some people ask me, like, they kind of went off on all these other different things, but like they asked me about how to approach the Bible. The way to approach it is like you did, like I did, like, and we all just read it. And we started saying to God, I want a closer relationship with you. I'm going to open my heart to you. I'm going to surrender and, not fight you anymore. And even with you, remember our first conversation, I was like, look, I don't know how we're going to do this because I just feel you pushing me away. Remember I said it was like this. It's just like no matter what I said,
like a stuffy feeling. Yeah.
You don't want help yet. And it was really like to where it started to aggravate me too. And then now, like I knew you changed because talking to you now, and even back when you made the change versus that first couple conversations, it was night and day. You were so receptive to listening. You brought a lot to the table as far as insights too. But it wasn't like I know better, I know what I'm doing, like screw you. It was just like very complimentary and very like, I don't know. It was just like talking to this wonderful, lovely, amazing, beautiful person that I'm just like so glad that is now a friend, and it's because you changed your beliefs about you.
And I think you touched on this earlier. I mean, maybe you can reiterate it. What do you think the story was which you were telling yourself when you first started working with Brian, and how do you have any, I don't know if you have any insights into that or thought about it, like how you kind of flip the script on it and then.
Oh yeah. So in a nutshell, I was about love. Like I am not lovable. And that stemmed from my own childhood experience. So again, circumstances that would try to like create in me, and it was for a while like, okay, I don't get the love that I want from this person. I can't seem to get it from this person at this age, so I must not be lovable. I'm not worthy of love. So that's where all that was creating. And
wow. That's energy.
It was just a whirlwind.
Not lovable.
Yeah, but you see, guys, we never went back and we're like, we have to fix our inner child. We have to give these circumstances, make them matter and change them. No, it was like, and that's what I'm trying to explain to you. I'm not trying to teach you guys how to go heal old wounds, any of that shit. What I'm trying to teach you guys is say, none of that shit matters now. If I change the story, those people will show up in a much more loving way. Right. And I find it funny that a lot of times people, especially women, like they'll have issues with their mom. They'll be like, in trying to get my boyfriend back, my mom has become this loving, amazing person now.
Aww.
And it's like, yeah, because you're loving yourself. There's more birds before land. And then with you, it was like every boyfriend, I think, showed up, every ex-person, it was like,
they did.
We're dead wrong. You're amazing. What were we thinking?
Literally, it's just, you would not believe it at the point in time that you're at. You feel like, again, your negative story, that's all you know. You're like, that's just hogwash. That's not true. You're trying to sell me a story. It's like, no. You're selling yourself a story and you believe it so much.
And that's
you believe a different one.
Showing up so that your story makes sense. And then as soon as you change it, it won't make sense to you anymore. So you won't even look for it. So you won't see it. And then all that shows up is the new results. And you're like, of course they do, because this is who I am.
So it sounds like what happened is at some point after those first couple sessions, like a light bulb went off and you're just like, I am lovable.
Well, I think she realized, I kept warning her, stop talking about a third party. You're going to make one show. And she saw how quickly she did that. But I was like, well, if you did it that quickly, we can get rid of her that quickly.
Yeah, literally.
You kind of surrender to the process and you're like, just show me how. And I was like, all right, you really ready? And you're like, yep. And I kept saying too, like, I'm going to tell you if you're not ready and you bullshit me, so don't bullshit me. And you were really going for it. And the things you were coming back and saying, I was like, she really gets it. I was so proud of you. I remember I kept saying to you, I'm just like, every time we talk, it just gets so much better. Like, I love talking to you now. I was like, it was just so like, oh my God, she is running wild with it, you know? And yeah, it's night and day. And like, again, when people thank me, I'm like, don't thank me, you did the work, you know?
Yeah.
I get it, everybody wants to be nice and thankful, but like, be proud of yourself, because you really were the one that did a 180, and you did it because you finally stepped up to the plate and said, I'm gonna love myself, fuck everybody else too, I'm gonna love myself. And you started to believe too, God loves me. And once you believe God,
Yeah.
you're like, well, shit, anybody else's love is definitely going to come along. Because if I got the creator of everything and I have that love, there's no love powerful and greater anyway. So who cares? But then not worrying about other people's love suddenly makes them all love you too, right? And if you believe you're worthy of God's love, you sure as hell believe you're worthy of Bob or Sally or whoever the hell else is out there. You know, it's like once you could manifest money, you couldn't stop manifesting money, right? You're like, it's so easy.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that was the same
It's
thing.
so easy.
And I can't. And then once I was like, this shit is easy, it got easier and easier, you know?
I
And
would definitely say that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I would definitely say, like, just to answer, excuse me, Anders' question. It's not necessarily a light bulb, but it's more so of, I'm tired. I'm tired of doing this over and over again, and it's not working. I'm tired of fucking my brain. This is enough, and it's making me sad. I just want to be happy.
Yeah.
What am I willing to sacrifice?
Yeah, a lot of you guys think you're there, but you're really not, because when she said that, she was like, I'm either not doing anything at all, or I'm going to do exactly what you say to get this right. You weren't going to keep trying to bang your head against the wall. A lot of you guys say, I'm tired of it, but then you go for another round of banging your head against the wall. You were like, this is either done, I'm not fucking thinking about this ever again, or, you know, I'm going to really go for it. And you were like, yeah, that makes more sense. And you went for it. And you never went back to the old, not even a little bit. Like, anytime it tried to come in, you were kicking it in the dick and punching it out of your life, you know? And
pretty much
to do, you got to get that sick of it, you know?
Yeah, so that's what it is, pretty much. I just got tired of it, and it's not the point of like, oh, you're just, going round and round in circles. Like, no. When I say I'm tired, I'm not gonna, oh, I gotta keep starting back from square one. I messed up. No, I was so sick and done of being sick and done. Anything that happened, I constantly kept telling myself, I don't care. This is not worth it. This is not what I'm creating. This is what I got going on. I reminded myself day in and day out, because I no longer wanted to keep living the life that I was living.
Yeah.
I just kept choosing.
That's the recognition you guys need to come to, is you have to just say, I can't keep living this way, so I'm just going to do this now, and I can't look back. You know, you don't want to be Lot's wife and be preserved, you know, and salt. Like, you're just like, God is giving me this new path. I'm going to trust it's going to lead to something good somehow, some way. But then you end up getting everything you want and more, right? Like, a lot of people will be like, well, I'll do this, and be like, well, maybe there's somebody better for me. And then what happens is you get your person, because you've taken them off the pedestal. You're doing it for you. You're not going back. You're not being double-minded. You're not wavering. And you get the hell out of the way, and you just keep your head down, and God rushes it over. That way, when you finally do, he tells you, lift your head up. Your prayers have been heard. Your battle's been accepted. Here you go. Everything you want and more. And like you said, at a time when you'd be like, oh shit, now? Oh, okay, I was willing to keep doing the work. But that's God's like, you're not going to stop. You've proven the belief. You know, when you really believe, you're just like, I'm just going to do it till it's done. I'm going to keep my head down, and I'm going to trust that God will let me know I've come to the edge of the pool. Like, lift my head up now, take my head up. It's like when you swim, right? You have your eyes closed and you keep your fingers, eventually they're going to touch the wall. That's what you're doing. You're saying eventually it's going to touch the wall, and I can, get up, and I'll know it's, so
I will say this though, to those who like me, I did not ever hear anyone speak of the law and Neville and would continuously add God to the equation. So I was gravitated by you right now. I'm like, okay, he knows the law pretty well, but he's doing something that I haven't seen anyone else do, which was, again, mention God consistently, and you weren't shying away from it. I'm like, okay, he's 10 toes down. He's very a firm believer in what he says and what he's preaching. You know what? Let me go. He seems to have at least similar beliefs with me. Let me just go and see. Let me run with it. You have enlightened me on a whole new level of how God actually functions and who God is. And I appreciated that. It felt genuine versus what you see mostly on YouTube. You just get like the surface level of, okay, you just do this or X, Y, and Z. But it's like, no. If you are the operant power, if you are working alongside with God, who is God? And you were the only person that was able to clearly explain that for me. And I loved it.
Thank you. That's a lot of people ask me why I do it, and the money and everything else is great. I'm not going to lie, but the real thing is, like, I am, having this wonderful life where I'm going to leave a legacy of love. There are kids that have been born because I helped somebody go to God, but they went to God too, and I always say, don't thank me, thank yourself. But like, I love knowing that. Like, I know of several babies now that are born because I assisted in somebody finding God and becoming one with them. And not only did they get the baby, but they got the house and the money and everything. And I love that. Like, I feel like, I remember when my mom died, the priest told me, I know our Catholic belief says we go to purgatory and we're judged and we have to wait. But there are true believers in life. And the Bible tells us, God tells us, if you are a true believer, you go straight to heaven. There is no judgment. Your belief was enough. You're in. And he told me, I promise you, I've never met somebody with more faith than your mom. That's what I'm striving to be like, is like her, to have that kind of faith. And it's tough, but like, I start to look at it like you did too. Like, okay, I'm going to accept the challenge. I'm going to buckle down. I'm going to keep doing it. And you just keep trusting God. And like you said, you can't look at it like this is bad, because like both of us have said, sometimes things we thought were bad lead to the victory, right? Like we thought him telling I'm going on this trip with this girl was like, it's getting worse. And I was like, it could go that way if you keep thinking that, or leave her the fuck alone. And then also stand up for yourself. Like, I was pissed at how he was treating you, right? And I normally don't tell anybody to do it. I don't advise you guys, so don't read into it. But this man was being so disrespectful, and I knew what she was doing for him. I was like, tell that fucking dude, like, come get your shit now then, if you're going to disrespect me. And just don't say anything else. Let him know you're done. Because it's kind of like with your parents, right? When you grow up, they'll scold you this and that, but then there's that one time where your mom or dad are like, I'm just really disappointed. I'm not even mad. I'm not going to punish you. And you're like, well, shit, do something, please. Like, I feel bad now, but that, when you take a stand, they're like, oh, fuck, I pushed it too far.
Yeah.
And then realize she's not always there. And now they're realizing I'm not on the pedestal anymore. Holy shit, what do I really have with her? What? And then again, it's because you're saying, hey, look, I'm not afraid to do this because I believe that I am worthy of this. And this, when you don't treat me that way, no.
But what I think is also interesting is, I mean, I could be wrong, but because I wasn't there in the trial. What I'm hearing from this story is that you were also at a point of, you just said that, but then I don't think you weren't, it sounded like earlier you were probably, because you were telling all these stories, you were probably in a state of mentally arguing with him all the time.
No,
and things like that.
Yes, 100%.
You weren't doing it anymore. You're just like, this is what it is. But you would also, like, well, a lot of what I'm hearing is like, well, I'm going to believe that I am lovable, and you became lovable. And so then he has to make a decision. And
it was something really short. I think we wrote like, are you getting your stuff before or after you leave? Because I don't think it'll, last on the street if you leave it or something like that. It was just something very quick. Like, I'm leaving it out and you better get here quick or people are going to take it.
Yes. What
it was
that
very
was
direct. Like,
it was very
only
quick.
a couple sentences. And then I was like,
you didn't beat a dead horse.
And
or
then
anything,
he literally,
or
like, what was it, like,
about it
5 minutes later was like, I'm not going on.
And I said,
called
immediately.
Right. And what did we say? When he comes in the door, if he apologizes,
accept it. Don't argue. Just accept it.
Exactly. Yeah. That's my point.
Don't argue with him. Just when he comes in the door and he says, I'm sorry, hug him, give him a little kiss on the cheek and say, thank you for respecting me. Something like that is what we did. That's all she did.
Very
She didn't argue
forgiving,
with
very
him.
gracious.
We were like, let's do a 180. No arguing at all with him about it.
Exactly.
And you know
Like,
what?
Or
I want to like kind of preface more into that, like just to give people a good eyesight. Like, just imagine this. He was going somewhere with 3P. That's disrespectful. And then the way he was talking to me, disrespectful.
Yep.
I had Bryguy help me. Like, again, please dig deep. Stand up for yourself. Telling that man, hey, listen, you're grown, but I don't want to be treated this way. I'm not going to argue with you. Your stuff is going to be packed up. If you decide to go any further, I'm going to leave it on the side of the street. And that was it. I left it at that. The man called within 5 minutes saying, what are you doing? And then we talked. I'm like, okay, you're going to come back. There's no and for buts about this.
You were just like, just please come pick up your stuff. And that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she like waver. She can be like, well, listen, I'm doing this. And again, the other big thing.
Or try to convince them.
Like there was none of that. There was no hollering. There was no manipulation. It was just like, hey, listen, straightforward. I don't like this. Come get your stuff if you're going to do this, then.
Yeah, there was no convincing, and it was not to get a reaction. It was, I'm fucking done.
Done. Yep.
I don't care what
tone changed.
We're not going to argue about it, anything. If you get here and it's gone, you should have got here quicker. Like, I'm not talking about it. Bye.
And you allowed him to have a change of heart, and you accepted his change of heart when he showed up.
Yeah, and you thanked him
the way you
for
wanted him to show up.
Yeah, you just showed him. If you act lovely, I'll be lovely back. But I'm not going to argue.
That was easy. It was that was the easy part of when I say that really was. It was just when he came back again. I was nervous. I was afraid, just like anyone else would be. And then he came through the door. And he's like, "I see my stuff's not outside." I'm like, "I see that you're here." He apologized, just like Bryguy said. I accepted it. Thank you. He was so shocked by it. He's like, what do you mean? I said, thank you for listening to me. He wasn't able to see everything before then, but once I changed my tune, it wasn't a pleasant situation, but he saw that I was, again, becoming someone different. I wasn't being the same Kaylin. You can't be the same person to me.
You were willing to let go and let him go, and you were saying, like, I'm loving myself first now.
Yes. It's okay. It's literally fine.
But guys, listen, her situation, again, she was living with this man. They shared everything, finances, like they were like a couple, like pretty much like a marriage. If you're just dating somebody and that's not the way to handle this. This was, she was really stepping up in this relationship and he was disrespecting it. And the way to love herself was to show herself she has to come first. So a lot of you guys are in the victim mode. You're like, I'll go do that. And you're going to do it to get a reaction out of them and hope to have the same thing. Don't waste your time. She really did it saying, like, I'm going to leave your shit out. I'm done. And I'm going to go work on me and fix my shit and everything will work out. And she stuck to that. That's why that worked.
I'll be 100%.
You calmed yourself down from a situation that would make most people hysterical.
Yep.
And you trusted God. You're like, I'm not going to get caught up in this shit. And I said,
yes, I would
turn right back around, watch. And he did, and then you were like, okay, this is the way to go. These calming statements make sense. This putting me first makes sense. Plus it just felt really good. Right. And then the not arguing, you're like, it makes sense.
Yeah. It's a good example of like being assertive versus being like aggressive or passive aggressive or manipulative.
Yeah.
Which is what a lot
this was just a genuine, I'm done. I've really given my best.
Like, but you need, it's like, these are like, you need to respect me and I need to respect you. Like, hey, if you're going to go on that trip, okay. But like, this is my boundary. I respect
myself now.
Yeah.
I can't have you coming back here, getting in bed with me after you've done that with somebody else. You're like, no, sorry. It's just, that's not who I am.
Exactly. And see, when if you're someone who has a similar story to me, listen, if it looks like you're having to make a really hard choice, what brings me peace and comfort just by doing this for so long now, or enough to be good at it, if things look hard, 9 times out of 10, the manifestation is right around the corner. You're having to choose something that is maybe uncomfortable because you have to be that new person. And you're not comfortable being that new person yet. But this is what the choices they would make. If they were happy, if they were secure in who they were, And they knew they had their SP. Would they allow this? Would they talk like this?
That is
Channel
such
being that
yeah.
person.
Right.
Yeah, that is such a great point. That's acting as if. That's living in the end right there.
Exactly. Living in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then living in the end doesn't involve, like, mentally arguing all the time or throwing a temper tantrum or whatever it is,
That's
which I've seen other people do.
emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
You
That's really
stop. You stop
Guys,
that. You
stopping-
stop it.
Yeah, she is raining down gold on you guys. She is
Yeah.
telling you, like, what we did works, but you have to be brave. And I love that both you and Jack and myself and some of the other clients that have written success stories too have all said, like, Neville's books are great, but like the Bible is better. Right. And like
Yes.
it really is about, because that's the thing I don't get. Anybody who studies Neville who doesn't want to talk about God, I'm like, that's all Neville talks about. They're like, I don't like the Bible shit. It's like, well, the whole thing is the Bible shit.
Yeah, it's all everything he
all
talks about
Bible
is
stuff.
always based on Bible stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's showing you there's all these wonderful stories, all these look, God's promising you again and again and again and again. He'll never fail you. Why won't you believe it?
These are like, the Bible's like full of all these different states that like people are living in.
Yeah, by believing that God will give it to you is
Yes.
believing in yourself. And that's what brings them back. That's what brings anything to you, the money, the job, right? Like, I had a guy who couldn't get hired. He was working in tech and he wasn't really trying. He was goofing around. He got to work from home and all this shit. And he was like, I want to make $300,000 a year and I want to work for this big company. And he went to interview for one of the other big companies to see if he was even had a shot at the biggest one. And they were like, you suck. Don't come back. And then he took forever to take the interview before they told him he sucked and didn't study and but then he just believed he was worthy. And then the big company he really wanted, once he worked on his self-concept, was like dying to hire him. And then he went from making $200,000 to $500,000 a year. And he'd only been in tech for 2 or 3 years. That's a huge jump. But again, it was him believing his new story. And I'm sure, like, because I know you still practice this, we noticed too, like, man, I could still go bigger. I could still be bigger. I could still do more.
Yeah.
But you realize, like, you kind of owe it to God to keep being that living example, right? Like, you can say, I am a testament to faith, belief, trust, love with God. Like, God is blessing me this way, but not just because, like, I'm chosen. Like, he's showing all of you too. I'm so blessed that I get to be an instrument for God to show everybody how loved they are. Like, basically, you're like a new person in the Bible, if there was a new Bible. And it's
Yeah.
that and really being gracious for it and grateful for it. And that's why I love when you guys want to come on here and share, because we're all doing the same thing. We're like, yep, that was the answer. God, belief, trust, love. It's the only thing there is, right? And you realize now, like, getting a better, none of that shit really matters. At the end of the day, what really matters is our relationship with ourselves and God. And right, and the amount of
100%.
love we think God has for us is pretty equal to what we have for ourselves, right? Because if we don't believe God loves us, we're like, well, I don't really, who gives a shit what I even think? If God doesn't love me, I don't love myself that much. But once you start loving yourself and then you really believe God loves you, you're like, I'm not loving myself enough. I'm doing a disservice to God. I'm not going to cheat God like that. Like, again, you're trying to tell a parent, like, your kid sucks. God's like, I'm not going to listen to it. So we think he's being hard on us and we think he's being mean. And I try to tell people, if you don't act, shit is going to get worse, but not for the reason you think. You're not going to get that third party because God's like, I'm going to, God's going like, well, I'm going to show you that even when shit got worse, once you trusted me, I came in and shit got fixed quickly. So it doesn't matter how bad things get or how bad you cock it up. I can come in and be like, hold my beer and fix it in an instant. That's why that stuff happens. And again, the Bible tells you too, even when things are good, shit's going to happen. But it's again to remind you to keep going to God. Keep believing. Keep saying, well, problems happen.
Amen.
Yeah, but I got God, so I don't have any worries. He tells you, lay your fears, lay your hurts at my feet. Give them to me. I'll take them away. And then on top of it, I'll give you peace and comfort. Why wouldn't we want to do that? And even sometimes we try to give them to him, but we're like, no, I want to hold on to this and hurt. Like, really give it to him and then take the deep breath going, it's gone. The weight has been lifted off my shoulder. Like Neville talks about when he wanted to get his luggage back that was stolen. Remember, he tells the story. He could feel the weight of the luggage on his shoulder, and he remembered the relief of when he would come home after long trips with that huge case sliding it off his shoulder to the floor and going, my muscles are tense, but like they're going to loosen back up now because I'm not, lifting this giant case. You have to let go of the tension. And God's saying, give it to me. Give it to me. Give me all of it. And then rest, knowing it's taken care of. I'm going to go fix it for you now, and that's what you did. And I'm so very proud of you. And like I said, night and day, I no longer feel this person trying to push me away. If anything, it's like this person that's like, come in, there's love here.
Yeah.
That too. They're like, I feel like she really is just a very loving, kind-hearted person. And that's who you really are. You were just afraid to be that person because you were afraid you were going to get hurt. But once you realize God was your source, you're your source, you just allowed yourself to let the real you come out. And everybody's like, oh my God, she's amazing. She's amazing. She's wonderful.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. It's like, it's almost like the short lesson is like, okay, believe that you are lovable, allow yourself to be lovable, and then you show up lovable. And then that's what people are going to hear on this is somebody who's lovable and not, big surprise.
Yeah.
A lovable person got love.
But notice what she did. She not only said she was lovable, but when God gave her chances to be lovable or be courageous, she took them.
Exactly.
She faced the fear and said, in this moment, I'm going to be courageous. In this moment, I'm going to be lovable. So she asked God for courage. He gave her an opportunity to be courageous, and she took it. She said, I'm lovable. God gave her a chance to show her she's lovable, and she took it. She didn't say I'm lovable and then keep fighting herself and keep going to the bad way. She was like, nope, I'm lovable. I'm going to do what a lovable person does because I believe I'm lovable. And I want to act this way.
Yeah. I mean,
that is being in the end, the wish fulfilled. That's how you do it.
It is. It's that simple. I kind of want to piggyback real quick off of what Andrew said quite a while ago, but I thought it was important.
Sure.
Was it Andrew or was it Bryguy? Why don't you brought up how to get into the Bible when it comes to manifesting? I apologize.
Let's go for it.
Well, one, I would say the easy answer, just do it. But two, have a different set of eyes when you approach the Bible. Don't look at them as just people or this is just a hard lesson that you have to learn. Put yourself in them shoes instead of just looking at it as, oh, this is one of God's disciples or one of people that God was using for this reason. Use your spiritual eyes instead. Oh my gosh, I resonate with this person. I'm going through something just like this. How did God help them? Wow, so I'm no different? No, you were never any different. Your situation is not special. Somebody in that book has gone through, if not worse, maybe even just a bit of what you've gone through, and they made it. You can do it too.
Wow.
Yeah, I forget who said. Somebody said you should always run and read. Run so that you can always outrun your competition, and read because there's not a problem on this earth that you're going to have that somebody else didn't have first and has written about it. And that's what the Bible is. It is a book of, God. And the other thing I love about the Bible is the people God chooses are the fuck ups. So I was like, well,
yeah,
man, I don't know a bigger fuck up than me. So God's probably doing all this because he's like, I'm going to fix this fuck up and show everybody, look, I took the biggest fuck up and made him a believer and blessed him. And so if I'm willing to do it for him, I'm willing to do it for all you guys,
Wow. Amen.
And the people who are like, well, I don't get blessed and I'm good. It's like when I was younger too, I had a learning disability. I was like a pain in the ass, a problem child. And my sisters would get mad. My parents were like, it's not that we love you less. It's that right now he needs more love. You guys are good. And we're sorry if we've not given you enough. So we will, but we believe in you. We just believe you guys are good. You have your shit together and he's hurting. So as a parent, we want to make sure that he becomes as good as you do. So we figure you guys are good and we're going to go work on him a little bit, but we'll be there for him too. God is the parent that can get it right. He can take care of the good kids and the bad kids and make everybody feel loved. That's the thing we don't get. God is the parent that doesn't fuck us up. Because as a parent, I can tell you, I would never purposely fuck my kid up, but I think sometimes we do on accident.
We make mistakes.
Yeah, we make mistakes. But, again, as I got older too, and I saw my parents as people and not parents, I was like, shit, I could not imagine having to face that situation at 23 like you did. At 40, that shit would be difficult. So I started to see them as human beings and doing their best and realized everything they did was because they thought this is the most loving thing to do. But what you got to remember with God is he's always trying to do the most loving thing for you whether you realize it or not. And if you trust them, it's going to work out. You can't be like, well, you're doing this and this hurts. And be like, tough shit, deal with it. You wanted courage. This is what you have to do to be courageous and believe you're courageous. But watch how you believe you're courageous and you never worry about it again. You never struggle with it again. You don't have these problems anymore because people won't fuck with you because they know you're courageous. You know, so a little bit of pain to get to, and even Jesus suffered, right? I mean, Lord, he suffered more than anybody, you know? But again, all your sins have been paid for. You're not a shitty person. But if you are lost and you're the fuck up, that's exactly who God's going for. So you've really got nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
You know, you really
don't.
Stop trying to. So many people want to martyr themselves too, which makes no sense because they're not in a position to martyr themselves, but they just want to be crucified, you know, because again, they need to be the victim. And once we stop doing that and we realize God's just here to heal us, to scoop us up out of the storm, to bring us back to the flock and bring us back to where the food and the water and the love is, and we stop fighting them, things get really good really fast.
Yeah.
You know?
So yes, that's I love what you brought up, and I think that's makes a lot of sense. Like, you know, read these stories. Neville Goddard talks about how they're states, but yeah, read from the story of being in the story, of you being in the story, and think about it that way. I think that's really great, and it brought to mind something too, that it's like in the Bible, it's like Jesus himself read the Bible. He read the law and the prophets, right? He read all the old books before him, right? And what did he realize? He was like, these books are all about me.
Yeah.
Which is like mind blowing, you know, because and they are all about Jesus, and he saw himself, and he saw God and God's love. And then what's also cool is then we read the New Testament and we read about Jesus, and then we see
It's all
like
about us.
Yeah, and we see like God's motivation. Like, what was this all about? Oh, this God's motivation was love. Like, it was love the whole time. And yeah, so it's a beautiful thing.
And Kaylin, I think you'd agree with this statement now. When it's dark, it's good because it means you're about to experience something absolutely beautiful.
Heck yeah. Tough that
So
storm out. You got it.
And face it head on, because it's going to lead to the light just rushing in. You know?
Yes, I mean, I'm pretty sure we all can attest to. It looked really bad. Like, it looked like the situation could not get any worse. The worst is just here. When you get past that moment and you did your very best, you're no longer that old state of being. Oh my goodness, you'll realize what it's usually for me, at least a couple minutes or a couple of days, and boom, it's like, what? We just had this encounter though. It looked bad, but I handled it good. Nope, your manifestation is here. It's like God, it's like, baby, you passed the test. You did it. Jump up and down, you got it. You chose like I tell my other friends and family members this too. Choose your hard. What's hard to you? Is it hard, whatever story that you're telling yourself? Then okay, that's the hard that you're choosing. Do you want to choose a different one? Live the life of it's easy. Choose what you want. You're always choosing that. When will you choose something better? And it's just like, oh, snap. Yeah, you can keep making these choices. God is always looking out for you. Never a point where he's not.
Yeah, that's how you get through those tough days, is doing that. That's what you do when you're getting attacked. Like I would, you know, most of the time I wasn't even arguing with her. I was arguing with the judge and this other lawyer I thought was out to get me and stuff. And I was like, I remember hearing something where they're like, just stop and ignore them and they go away.
Yeah.
And then I just started to focus on, okay, they're gone. They're out of our lives. But then I started loving myself, believing in myself. And then I again said, what's my story about love? I always get left. I'm never forgiven. Change that. And then I was like, what's my story about her? She's stubborn. She doesn't ever give me a second chance. I was like, well, wait a minute. She gave me a shit ton of chances. Wait a minute. She shouldn't have even chose me to begin with. She really loved me. And I started to believe in that love again and trust in her too, and trust that God was going to show her. So I didn't even have to try to convince her of anything. And then that's what God did. It was like the same thing. It was like, boom. Wait, what? Oh my God, I missed all that. Thank you for showing me that, you know? And it's what brought faith back to everybody and saved everything. And, you know, but so I don't want to take up too much more of your time because you've been so gracious, but is there anything else you want to share with everybody before we go?
My parting words would be, please remember that you are the cheat code. you are the one that creates. So if you say something is hard, it will be hard. If you say you are something, it has no choice but to come to fruition. The only way it doesn't is because you changed your belief. That's
Yeah.
all I want to say for you.
That's so good. Yeah, you can't keep telling yourself it doesn't work. You can't keep telling yourself it's hard. I see all these new subreddits where people are like anti-Neville and like they're blaming this coach fucked me up and made me think this, and now I can't. Sorry, guys, it's all your fault. You didn't have
Thank
to.
you.
But again, look at what you're telling yourself. If you're telling yourself it doesn't work, that's manifesting. It's not like you manifest parts of the day. You're always manifesting. So whatever stories you're telling, manifesting doesn't work, then it doesn't work. But again, you manifested it not working, so you proved it worked. You know, you believe it works, and you got to remember, no wavering, no bad stories. That's what you did. You put your head down and you just, anything that tried to, kick its way in, you put like this force field up and barreled through it and ran right over it. And before you knew it, you were at the finish line. You touched the wall, you know? So
Yeah, it was it was great.
I would like to just say again to Kaylin, please, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Yes.
Guys, I'm telling you, this is everything you guys need to know right here. She is her and Jack, my stories I've shared, Andrew's stories he shared. If you notice, we're all telling you guys the same thing. So at what point do you, like I did, like Andrew did, like she did, like Jack did, get sick of it to where you just can't breathe another word of it? If you have to, sit there one night and just let it all out. Word vomit the shit out of it until you're sick of talking about it. A lot of you guys want to do that. You'll talk to anybody who wants to listen. Don't wait for them. Just be like, I'm going to write it all down. I'm going to get this shit out of me. I'm going to throw it up. I'm going to have an emotional vomit, a spiritual vomit, and cleanse myself. And then I'm going to go surrender and trust God. So thank you again, Kaylin. So good to talk to you again. And we're gonna hang up this call and stay on the line because I'm gonna talk to you. I want to get your registry and stuff too. But guys, took a situation that had the guy saying to her face, "No, you're not even wife material. I don't want to get married. I've met somebody else. I'm gonna fuck around and not care what you think. I'm gonna disrespect you." And she was like, "Nope, don't accept it. Don't accept it." She did nothing on him and changed her self-concept. And this dude kisses the ground she walks on. Couldn't wait to propose. That's all she did, was she believed in God and herself, and she got it all. So stop needing us to tell you this over and over again and go do it. That's what she did. She stopped asking questions, stopped asking how to do it, how to believe, and she put her head down and just did it, and she was done before she knew it. Wasted a whole month asking how, why. Then once she started doing it, it wasn't even a whole month, and she was done. So thank you again, Kaylin. I love you. So glad to hear everything's going great and you keep going with it. And guys, please just really listen to this. She's giving you absolute gold, right? We got another person now telling you they went through this journey. They had insurmountable circumstances and they don't fucking matter. They can look you dead in the eye, be like, I'll never love you again. Be like, oh, well. But until you can say, I don't care, like she did, I know the truth, you can't get them. Once you say that, it doesn't matter what they say. So please really listen to this one over and over again. Jack's over and over again. Because there's absolute gold in here. And again, I want to point out that all three of us, Andrews too, with all the stories and even stories he's told about other people too, it's always us trusting God. It's always us believing in ourselves, believing in God, believing we're worthy and deserving, and letting the love in that gets us what we want and more. So as always, we intend and hope that this podcast brings you the information you guys need and the answers that you need to get it done. But you got to go do it too. It's time to stop talking about it and it's time to start doing it. And Kaylin is absolute proof of that. So thank you again, guys. And we appreciate all the support. Anders, you want to say goodnight?
Yeah, I want to just say how great it was to be able to meet you and talk to you. And I just had a great time. I was just soaking it all in. I just love the conversation, the rapport between the two of you guys. And it's just a beautiful thing. And especially love, the success story that is, considering you guys are talking about the origin story of all this. And it's just really great. I think you just dropped a lot of gems, a lot of gold on our audience. And yeah. I'm just, guys, please, who are listening, please comment, let us know what your thoughts are, and please share this with anybody you think this would help. And would love to hear from you guys how this landed. Any like mindsets change which have happened for you.
Yeah, share your journey with us.
Yes, please.
You can leave some questions on the sub if you want. But again, guys, thank you so much. Kaylin, thank you so much. Hang on the line. We're going to hang on the call, and then, I'll talk to you real quick. And then, but again, thank you so much. And guys, we love you, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. Love you guys. Bye-bye.